Hello everyone and welcome to the lecture on AWS Service Catalog. So this lecture will contain all these topics. What is AWS Service Catalog? Benefits, types of users, products, HashiCorp, Terraform open source and Terraform cloud support for AWS Service Catalog, provision products, portfolios, versioning, constraints, admin workflow and the end user workflow. So what is AWS Service Catalog? Service Catalog allows organizations to create and manage catalogs of IT services that have been approved for use on AWS. These services can include a wide range of resources such as virtual machine images, servers, software, databases, and even complete multi-tier application architectures. With Service Catalog, organizations can centrally manage their frequently deployed IT services. This centralized management streamlines the provisioning process and ensures consistency across the organization. By using Service Catalog, organizations can enforce consistent governance practices and meet compliance requirements. The catalog ensures that only approved and compliant services are available for deployment, reducing the risk of non-compliant resources being provisioned. Service Catalog empowers end users to quickly deploy the IT services that they need without having to worry about compliance or approval processes. Users can easily browse the catalog, select the desired services, and launch them with just a few clicks. Service Catalog allows organizations to set constraints on the deployment of IT services. These constraints can include factors such as where the services can be launched, the type of instances that can be used, and other configuration options. By enforcing these constraints, organizations can maintain control over their IT environment and ensure adherence to established standards. So some benefits, of course we have seen one is standardization. So you can administer and manage approved assets by restricting where the product can be launched, the type of instance that can be used, and many other configuration options. The result is a standardized landscape for product provisioning for your entire organization. Second benefit, self-service discovery and launch. So users browse listing of products, services or applications that they have access to, locate the product that they want to use and launch it all on their own as a provisioned product. Fine-grained access control. Administrators assemble portfolios of products from their catalog, add constraints and resource tag to be used at provisioning, and then grant access to the portfolio through AWS Identity and Access Management, users and groups. Extensibility and version control. Administrators can add a product to any number of portfolios and restrict it without creating another copy. Updating the product to a new version propagates the update to all products in every portfolio that references it. So types of users. So there are two types of users. One is catalog administrators. They manage a catalog of products, which are basically applications and services, organize them into portfolios and granting access to end users. Catalog administrators prepare AWS CloudFormation templates, configure constraints, and manage IAM roles for products to provide for advanced resource management. Then you have end users who receive AWS credentials from their IT department or manager and use AWS Management Console to launch products to which they have been granted access, sometimes referred to as simply users. End users may be granted different permissions depending on their operational requirements. For example, a user may have the maximum permission level to launch and manage all of the resources required by the products that they use, or only permission to use particular service features. Then we have products. A product in Service Catalog represents an IT service that you want to make available for deployment on the AWS platform. Products can include various AWS resources such as EC2 instances, storage volumes, databases, monitoring configurations, networking components, or even packaged AWS Marketplace products. The flexibility of Service Catalog allows products to range from a single compute instance running AWS Linux to a fully configured multi-tier web application running in its own environment, or anything in between. To create a product in Service Catalog, you need to import an AWS CloudFormation template that defines the necessary AWS resources for that product. The AWS Cloud Formation template not only specifies the required AWS resources, but also defines the relationship between those resources, ensuring proper configuration and dependencies. When creating a product, you can define parameters in the Cloud Formation template that end users can customize when launching the product, such as configuring security groups, creating key pairs, and performing other customizations specific to their needs. So HashiCorp Terraform Open Source and Terraform Cloud support. So AWS Service Catalog enables quick self-service provisioning with governance for your HashiCorp Terraform Open Source and Terraform Cloud configuration within AWS. You can use a Service Catalog as a single tool to organize, govern, and distribute your Terraform configuration at scale within AWS. You can access Service Catalog key features, including cataloging of standardized and pre-approved Terraform templates, access control, least privilege provisioning, versioning, tagging, and sharing to thousands of AWS accounts. Your end users see a simple list of products and versions that they have access to, and can then deploy those products in a single action. Okay, next is provision products. So AWS Cloud Formation stacks simplify the management of a product's lifecycle by allowing you to provision, tag, update, and terminate your product instance as a single unit. So just want to add upon that. By default, it uses Cloud Formation template under the hood, all the Service Catalog products and portfolios. But in the previous slide, we saw that there is support for HashiCorp Terraform also. So basically, we are talking about infrastructure as a product, infrastructure as a code. So you provision product. So you can, by default, it will use AWS Cloud Formation which is its own technology. But there is an option to use Terraform also. Okay. So an AWS Cloud Formation stack includes an AWS Cloud Formation template, which can be written in either JSON or YAML format, defining the resources and configurations of the stack. In addition to the Cloud Formation stack, a stack also includes its associated collection of resources that are defined within the template. In the context of AWS Service Catalog, a provision product is equivalent to a Cloud Formation stack. When a product is provisioned, it creates a stack with the necessary resources. When an end user launches a product through AWS Service Catalog, the instance of the product that is provisioned is essentially a Cloud Formation stack. The provision product includes all the resources necessary to run the product as defined in the associated Cloud Formation template. This ensures that the product is provisioned with the required components and the configurations. Okay, next we are talking about portfolios. A portfolio in AWS Service Catalog is a collection of products. So it's a collection of products that also contains configuration information related to those products. Portfolios play a crucial role in managing who can use specific products and how they can use them, ensuring controlled access and usage. With Service Catalog, you have the flexibility to create customized portfolios for each type of user in your organization and selectively grant access to the appropriate portfolio based on their role and requirements. When you add a new version of a product to a portfolio, that version automatically becomes available to all current users of that portfolio, streamlining the distribution of updated products. Service Catalog allows you to share your portfolios with other AWS accounts as well. So it basically across the organizations and other AWS accounts which may not be part of the organization also, enabling collaboration and extending the reach of your product. Enabling collaboration and extending the reach of your products beyond your own organization. When sharing portfolios with other AWS accounts, you can allow administrator of those accounts to distribute your portfolios with additional constraints, such as limiting which EC2 instances a user can create, providing fine-grained control over the shared resources. By leveraging portfolios, permissions sharing and constraints, you can ensure that users are launching products that are configured properly and align with the organization needs and standards, maintaining consistency and compliance across the board. Okay, next important feature is versioning. Service Catalog allows you to manage multiple versions of the products in your catalog. This approach allows you to add new versions of templates and associated resources based on software updates or configuration changes. When you create a new version of a product, the update is automatically distributed to all users who have access to that product, allowing the user to select which version of the product to use. Users can update running instances of the product to the new version quickly and easily. So next is constraints. Constraints in AWS Service Catalog allow you to control the ways in which specific AWS resources can be deployed for a product, providing a level of governance and management. Constraints can be used to apply limits to products for purposes such as governance or cost control, ensuring that resources are deployed within defined boundaries. With launch constraints, you can specify a role for a product within a portfolio. This role is used to provision the resources at launch, allowing you to restrict user permissions without impacting their ability to provision products from the catalog. Notification constraints enable you to receive notifications about stack events using Amazon Simple Notification Service (SNS) topic, and this keeps you informed about important events related to your provisioned resources. Template constraints allow you to restrict the configuration parameters that are available to users when launching a product. For example, you can limit the available EC2 instance types or IP address ranges. With template constraints, you can reuse generic AWS CloudFormation templates for products and apply restrictions to the templates on a per product or per portfolio basis. So just to summarize, this is how the administrator workflow looks like. So an administrator, which can be a catalog administrator or any administrator who has access to Service Catalog service, they go ahead and create and share product portfolios to their end users. So basically they create product portfolios. So step one, you create some products, you have versions which you author in JSON or YAML. Under the hood it will be using CloudFormation template. Then you can organize those products into portfolios for better management and sharing, and basically to apply role-based access control, all those features. And then you manage product portfolios with constraints. So you add some constraints such as assign launch role, launch as action. Then you constrain launch parameters. For example, which EC2 instance types, all those, how much cost or whatever, set notifications, configure deployment across accounts and regions. So which all accounts and regions it can be deployed at. So those are called constraints. And also you control tagging. Next step is you distribute portfolios using AWS account ID or organization. So you can use all the multi-account setup. So within all accounts that are part of our AWS organizations, you distribute it selectively or through all the accounts, or you can choose accounts which are not part of the same AWS organization, some other account as well, and you distribute it to users. So in your account, for example, so this will cover all the different use cases. And finally, you maintain a catalog and you add, delete or deprecate products and versions. So for a product you can have multiple version, there will be portfolios, so but version will be applicable at the product level. So this is how an administrator creates, publishes products and portfolios. And finally you have end users who are basically the consumer of those products. So product can be, for example, there can be a LAMP stack which user want to provision, right? But for an end user, so end user can discover, self-service, provision and maintain the life cycle of their provision products. So whichever products they have provision for themselves, they can maintain. So this end user, for example, it can be developer, it could be IT sales guy. So you just segregate them based on their role. So let's say developer need to have some access to Cloud9 resources, some EC2 instances for their testing, or testers, or somebody web administrator. So this product, as I've talked about, it can be a LAMP stack. So LAMP is a pretty complicated stack, but catalog administrator has already published a product like LAMP, let's say, and when this user asks for that product LAMP stack, they will choose the product and version, and they provide in parameter inputs and launch product. So if the catalog administrator allows for some parameter inputs, they will fill in and those will be provisioned. So under the hood, probably it will launch EC2 instance, it may launch some database. So all this will not be So they do not have to go to the complication of setting it up by themselves. So under the hood, it will just trigger the CloudFormation template and stack. For each product have one-to-one mapping with the CloudFormation stack. Those get provisioned, and user will have a link, will have an association with which product they have provisioned with. And finally, they have product lifecycle. So if catalog administrator updates the version and all, so they can take service actions, updates, and terminate provision products. So either they can upgrade to newer version, or if they don't want, or they can terminate if they don't want and no longer use it. So this is the end user life cycle. Basically, end user will not see all the complications that are involved with all the AWS resources that are configured and set up. They will just see some very simple interface to basically get what they want for their role in the organization. And that's all. Thanks for watching.